We're rolling.
Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 109 of the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast.
It is.
It's brought to you by Black Belt Digital Marketing. Anything you need to build your business, on or offline, website design, Google Ads, graphic design, printing, we can help. I say we can help because I own that company. Check us out at Black Belt Digital Marketing on Instagram, on Facebook as well. Check out our website, which is bbdigitalmarketing.com. Okay.
Can I tell you something real quick?
Our claim to fame. Go ahead.
So I had somebody reach out from my jiu-jitsu gym, and they're like, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. They had he used to be like extremely overweight, and he lost a ton of weight, like hundreds of pounds, right? And he just ran the New York Marathon.
Okay. And
super cool dude. And, he reached out, and he's like, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. Let's set up a lunch or something like that so we could talk about it. I haven't sent you a text yet, but I'm telling you right now, this guy he wants to set up a lunch and talk about. This is like
an old school text. You actually
old school text. A lot of old school stuff happening today. Right. And
Throwback Thursday.
Yeah, Throwback Thursday, baby. And anyways, what I'm getting to is that I was like, yo, check this out. And I spelled out the website because I hear you say it so much. I was like, BB Digital Marketing.
Well, because obviously we get Black Belt. People think they're going to type in Black Belt Digital Marketing, and other people have those domains. It's like some guy in the Middle East actually has one of the domains. So it's BB Digital Marketing.
Come to us.
So I would say our claim to fame is what we call reputation management, which is usually how people get started with us. Although we do all these other things.
Yeah.
Most people will get a scan of their business, realize where things are, what they have not been paying attention to, which is usually their Google business profile. Yeah. This is the one that comes up in the map section. People don't know. You have to do things to it for it to get found more. Yeah. You could tell it where your service is, the areas you service. You can put in keywords or services that you offer.
You're not a mechanic.
People don't even know. You can add images. You can post to it like a social media site.
Right.
So you can ask questions, frequently ask questions. People just don't know they could do that, and those accounts get found more. So that's our claim to fame. We'll kind of show you where all the bodies are buried with a free online review. I send you a video with my little face in the corner talking about the report.
Gotcha.
And then, if you want to work with us, we talk about what services we can offer, and we put together a package, and we help you get found more.
You guys are like a tuning garage.
That's what we call. That's called off-page SEO. So off the page being the website, we're doing things off of the page, away from the page to get the business found. I argue that the Google business profile is more important than your website. So that's what we do. That's our main thing that we do. My daughter works with me, so she helps me out a ton. I'm out there talking to new business, and she's out there doing the fulfillment, which is the back end stuff, making all those things happen with her team and the graphic designers and all that stuff. So, shout out to my daughter Victoria, who's killing it.
Shout out.
My name is Milton Campus. I'm a brown belt training out of South Florida. I train out of Jiu-Jitsu for Life.
You sure do. JJD.
It's the old Fight Sports in Coral Springs.
Yeah.
Maybe they changed their name. I got Miguel riding shotgun.
What's up, guys?
Tell them where you train.
Oh, man, I train at Henzo Gracie's Weston.
Yeah, there you go.
Man,
yes, you do.
I sure do.
And then we got Bo behind the camera.
I say that all the time.
Got you with your own shit.
I love it.
Hi. Hello.
Welcome, Bo. Thank you for.
Hi.
Let's talk about. There's two things I want to talk about. Number one, let's give a shout out to my guys. We had a bunch of guys get promoted to blue belt.
I saw that.
Justin Lancaster, who I train with, he is now blue belt. Justin's also the guy that gave us the name for the drill down at the end of the episode. Gave us that name for that segment.
I rolled with him the other day.
Super great dude, super talented, big dude. He's tall and strong. He's getting tougher and tougher to roll with.
I felt it.
But we got into, it was funny, we got into a little back and forth in the school chat. Mm-hmm. And lots of jokes about wrist locks now because we had 4 guys get promoted to blue belt.
You got to welcome them.
We did. So I got to roll with him last night.
Which one did you hit him with? Which one?
What's today? Today's
Thursday, bro.
Today's Thursday. I rolled with him last night.
Yeah.
And my first submission, I got a wrist lock on him.
Which one? Did you do he grabbed your collar and you grabbed his elbow? Or
So this is definitely, I wouldn't call this dick moves. Like, I like dick moves, right?
Yeah.
I always joke about them. I get him in when you get inside control.
Yeah.
But you can trap their arm under your leg.
Oh, okay.
So the leg closest to his head.
Yeah.
The one, his arm that would be pushing my face away.
Yeah.
I get that arm down and I put it under my shin. Mm-hmm. And then the wrists, got to put a lot of weight on it so they can't move it. And then Give him a
Bam.
little wristy wrist.
You know what's my favorite one?
So I got him. So we got that out of the way. They were getting the wrist lock.
You're
And then
welcome.
I think I caught him with one more. I don't know if I forgot what I caught him in the second time, but welcome to Blue Belt, Justin.
There it is. Give
And
wrist
let me
lock.
just say, I'm sorry. Let me let you say what you're going to say. We had Tommy, Aaron, and shit, I forget this guy's name. I know, Dominator's dad?
Yeah.
Do you know what his name is? Because I always thought it was Dominator, his son Dominic.
Yeah.
I thought he was junior. I
Yeah.
thought he was senior, so I always had his name as Dominic. I think it's like Justin. Or is it Justin or Andrew? I'm sorry,
remember.
dude.
I just know the guy.
I even in the chat, I was just like, congrats to Justin, Tom, Aaron, and Dominator Senior.
Yeah.
Because I forgot his name. But yeah, so we got four new blue belts. Congrats, guys.
Good.
And the wrist locks are coming.
Yeah.
You were going to say something before.
I was going to say favorite wrist lock is like you pull guard, or you just make sure they end up in your guard, and when they go to stand up, they'll post up under your armpit.
Yeah.
Just trap that arm under the armpit and grab the elbow.
So I love that one from standing. Like if somebody grabs your lapel standing.
Knock the wrist in.
Yeah, you can just get behind their elbow, grab their elbow with both hands. I love that one. You don't do that a lot. The last guy I did that on was, you remember Mark?
Yeah. Mark Gracie. Yeah.
Mark Gracie. Not a real Gracie, but we called him Mark Gracie. I got him with that once, and he had a fit. And Felipe was there, and Felipe did one of these.
What are you doing?
And Mark, come on, bro. Mark, I thought he was gonna cry.
Yeah.
And he was really, really pissed at me for a while. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry, but I had to give it to him. So I don't do that one anymore because he, I pull guard a lot anyway now. So, but
Mark could get it, bro. He was mean to me as a white belt.
Was he really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
For sure.
No, he doesn't train anymore.
I know.
He doesn't come around. If he's listening to this, we miss you.
Yeah, come back, bro.
Yeah.
Tell me when you get there.
So
tell me when you're coming back.
That's my favorite. That one, and then that one that I talked about with Justin.
Yeah.
That wrist lock was the very first wrist lock that my first coach taught us.
Yeah.
And I was a white. He wrist locked the hell out of us.
Wrist lock the planet.
All the time. There was no don't wrist lock white belts. We were, and there's.
I don't wrist lock anybody.
From the bottom, if you can get that, like you can get these arms, trap them every once in a while. Like he'd put his weight and just do it.
I wrist lock from Americanas.
Like if you put your, who's Esteban's son? Oh, Adolfo.
Yeah.
Adolfo, like if you get in side control, if you don't put your forearm, if you get your hand on his hip,
chin down.
He puts his weight.
Yeah.
He just shifts his weight. And pushes, like he'll let you know it's there. He's not a dick and doesn't like to hit it hard.
Yeah.
But I like that one. I'm kind of like, you got to really understand like where their arm is.
Mm-hmm.
He gets me with that a lot. Like he'll just do it a little bit when I roll the thing.
Never post your
like that one
elbow
too.
on the mat and put your wrist.
Yeah. You'll catch, but you could also kind of catch.
That's a dingbat move. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are my favorites. So more wrist locks coming, guys.
Hey.
So were you gonna say something else before?
I don't think so.
Okay. So we said black belt. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and click the subscribe button on YouTube. We really appreciate the support.
That was the first thing. You said I got to say two things. The second thing is our studio broke.
Our studio broke. Oh, that's right. So let me say this first. Joining us today is Cage Titans fighter Andrew Valdina. He trains up at Joe Lauzon's in Massachusetts. So he's going to be joining us. So stick around. Cool dude. You're gonna like him. You're gonna like. I've spoken to him already. He's really super cool, and I think you guys are gonna like this interview. We can get like some insight on him getting into MMA, and how jiu-jitsu, how jiu-jitsu plays into this, and how he's transitioned from wrestling to jiu-jitsu. So, so you want to tell him about the studio?
It's like the main thing that records everything.
Our recorder took a shit.
Yeah, we're gonna, when you see the episode today, we're gonna put our old school, when we used to do the podcast,
Throwback Thursday.
Yeah, we used to have the TV and have the like ESPN style, I would call it.
Yeah.
So the guest was here in between us, or maybe on that side, depending.
Yeah.
You know what?
And the guest his head is on the screen, and that's the way we filmed. And we talk to the screen
head.
like he's in the studio. Yeah. So that's what we're going to be doing today.
Throwback Thursday.
When we bring Andrew in, you're going to be seeing the
so
the
if
TV
anybody,
here.
I'm going to put this out there. If anybody has experience with the Convergent Design Apollo recorder, DM me on Instagram at BADWERKS.
Okay.
Like if you actually have experience
or Google
with an Apollo.
You probably have just as much luck with Google.
No. I mean, because sometimes people have experience with these, but we lost the recorder, and it won't do the camera switch.
But you think you might?
It's possible.
Have a solution.
Yeah. Well, I think I've come up with a couple of options.
It's the most expensive piece of equipment in the studio, maybe barring your
pretty much everything.
Your camera.
They're about the same price.
Okay, so
no, I mean, right now the
new these two pieces are super expensive.
New is the price of my camera used.
I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. So
the answer is no, they're not.
Hopefully we got it fixed. But today, again, it's going to be a Throwback Thursday episode where we're going to do it old school.
I'm excited.
If you're new to the podcast and you didn't see our stuff in the very beginning, this is the way we used to film in the beginning before we went to like a 4-camera setup or 3-camera setup. Yeah. The computer being almost like the 4th camera.
Yeah,
the
if you
4th
notice,
input.
nothing switched.
I've opened up.
It'll be the full shot of the.
I was saying,
studio.
I've opened up a thesaurus or two, so an homage, if you will.
Yes, an homage to Jiu-Jitsu dummies of old.
Of 4.
A 4?
Yeah, 4 FORE.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Come on.
Now you lost me.
Renaissance Fair's coming around.
All right, let's. All right, so we got some shout outs. So, Flow and Roll.
Yeah, Sean.
We talk about. Let's just say that we finally got the pre-order. We close out the pre-order. We're just working out the final numbers
for the contest.
By the time this is out, we've got it ordered. I think it takes like 30 days from the time that we order them, but all the pre-orders will be included.
Is the
worked out great.
Over?
Like it was a cool thing. The contest will be over. I want to have them to order in and know that they're on their way before we choose somebody.
I'm excited.
But if you sent us a receipt, if you purchased from any of our sponsors, we're not taking any more. But we had, we were doing, if you purchase from a sponsor, send us a receipt and we'll put you in a raffle. It'll be $250 worth of gear. I know Neutral Zone, I believe he said he's going to, give us some stuff, which would be cool. We always have them just send it right to them. Maybe we can get BJJ Box to do something. I know Flow and Roll and we're going to put some stuff in too. So it's going to be really cool.
It's like not even going to be. It's going to be a swag package.
It's going to be a very cool. You're going to get a couple of packages.
Yeah,
most likely.
That's what she said.
Like I want to just send everything directly to them. And yeah, man. Look, we appreciate all the support. Our sponsors, the show. When I post online, I always say you could support us best by supporting our sponsors.
That's right.
Right. That's like. You support them, they support us. This all works. So
support Flow and Roll.
Again, thank you to Flow and Roll. Check them out at flow_n_roll. They got amazing custom designs. They did our custom design. I've already got the next one ready. We'll do it as a pre-order, but we'll be able to do it faster. I understand the process now. Sean is super patient, not only with the design through the process. And now I understand, like, we can move it a little bit more quickly. Yeah. Once we do the design and the design is up, then we can run it for 30 days and then put the order in. So I've got the idea. I think we talked about it a little bit. So check them out. Their website's flowandroll.com. Get 20% off with code JJD. And again, look, you want to see what they're all about. I actually like go to their Instagram and just check out all the schools they're working with. I think that is like testimonial. That's their best testimonial is seeing the schools that they work with. And I know Sean doesn't have any problem with me saying, message some of those schools. Message those schools. I don't think you'll find one school that would say anything bad about anything that he has going on.
Do your research.
Yeah. So thank you again, Sean. BJJ Box. You know what? I was supposed to check the mail. There's probably a box sitting there. My bad. But it'd be cool to we'll open it on the next episode.
Yeah.
Listen to the end of the show, and we'll tell you who our next guests are.
Yeah.
So going to be really cool. It's 2 previous guests that are going to be here together, and super popular, old school, new school. We'll just leave it there. But hopefully we'll have the box in the mail. It should be there. So what's the Jiu-Jitsu box or the BJJ box? It's filled with a bunch of Jiu-Jitsu swag.
It's a monthly subscription.
Tape. Yeah, monthly subscription.
Right.
You get there are a couple of levels.
There's tiers.
We get the VIP box, which has a T-shirt. He sends us 2, but it has a T-shirt. And then some, like, maybe they've got CBD. They send tape. We have kinesiology tape,
it's
finger
for
tapes.
It's for the
snacks,
whole spectrum. Yeah.
It's all different types of stuff. We've gotten supplements. We've gotten, like, salves,
subscriptions,
other subscriptions, for online stuff. So very cool. You're going to get a minimum of somewhere between like 4 and 7 items.
Yep.
And then those 4, like the price of the box is much lower than if you bought those items separately.
Yeah, and you get more
it's
of a value than the box.
Yeah, it's. I know, like even though I know they're coming, like it's a spot. I'm like super excited to get it. Like I'm always like I always, because I know there's 2 shirts and I usually try to wear that shirt on the unboxing episode. So I get to open it and see what's in it right away. So I always keep the shirt and I wear it, and then when you unbox it here, it's new to you.
Yeah. And unboxing days, I don't bring a shirt.
So Tony is incredible to work with as well. We have some great conversations about business and just about jiu-jitsu in general. Check them out at thebjjbox.com. Instagram is same at thebjjbox, not .com. It's the handle is at thebjjbox. Code is
JJD 10 for $10 off your first order.
First order off your first box.
I got it.
All right. Shout out to Neutral Zone CBD.
Bam.
This is, just some of their recovery products. I mean, I still have stuff that I haven't even used yet because I found just a few things that I used. I've got patches. I've got. This is TMI. My wife gave me a massage with one of the oils, one of their CBD oils.
This one.
She gave me like a head to toe, but it's the pink one.
Okay.
I gave it to her, and I used it to massage her.
Yeah.
Well, she used it on me the other day. It was
okay.
Great
It's
massage.
nice. Yeah.
It was cool. So they got basically like massage oils, the tinctures. You've got they've got like a
patch,
which is really cool. I love the roll-on, which isn't here today because we've used them all. We've taken them.
Mine's at my desk.
My favorite one is the roll-on. I get a little headache during the day. I put a little on, and honestly, like a few minutes, and it's gone. So that's definitely my favorite. You can check them out at neutralzonecbd.com, and it's code
JJD
for
20% off.
No,
25%
off with code JJD.
I went up.
No.
I said I went up. I went up.
So last but not least, I've mentioned them on one other podcast. You see their logo in the scroll on the screen when you're watching us. I am on the board of directors for the Backpack Barber Foundation.
I seen that.
You can check them out at thebackpackbarberfoundation.com. The mission is to provide haircuts and hygiene products to people experiencing homelessness. But we also, Greg, who started the foundation, Greg Young, he'll go to different organizations, different places, schools, aftercare, and like give haircuts for free. And it's usually like lower income areas.
I gotcha.
He'll give free haircuts. He does something at, I don't want to, I'll remember the full name, but it's an organization called Jack and Jill. And he goes and he gives kids haircuts, and he makes them read to him while he's giving them a haircut.
That's
so
difficult.
Yeah, it's kind of really cool. So amazing organization. I've been with them for just a couple of months. We handle their marketing. We're giving our marketing services for free. And if you check out the Instagram at the Backpack Barber Foundation, you'll see what we've been doing for them. We're collecting blankets right now. We still have little bouts of chill, especially at night, right? It gets a little cold.
Oh, yeah.
It's Florida, but it does get cold at night sometimes. So we're actually, you go to the Instagram, you can find out where you can bring blankets. You can donate socks, shoes, boots, any type of clothing. But there's a donate button right there on the homepage. If you want to donate, that would be wonderful. Or if you're at our Instagram at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies, you can click the link tree, the link in our bio, and you'll see that you can donate to the Backpack Barber Foundation right there. Okay. It'll take you right to the donation page as well. So I just wanted to throw that in. I think they're an amazing organization. So happy to be working with them, and I plan on helping them do some big things. We've got some cool things in the works. All right? All good? Bo doesn't have to pay attention anymore. He's just like,
yeah, I know.
He doesn't have to touch anything anymore.
Throwback Thursday.
Just run it and go.
I'm still working because I'm looking up what can I do to save us from this disaster,
from the catastrophic failure of our main piece of equipment.
Yeah,
seriously.
All right, so let's get at. You ready?
We lost our thrusters.
Are you ready to do this?
It's like your balls falling off.
You've got to press the button. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's get Andrew in here. What's going on, Andrew? How you doing, man?
What's going on, guys? Doing good.
Thank you for joining us, man. We explained the change of the studio setup.
Yep.
This is like a throwback episode for us, I guess, because this is the way we used to do it in the beginning.
It's Thursday.
Throwback Thursday.
TBT.
You guys did this on purpose.
Yeah, right. Yeah, somebody broke the recorder.
You never know.
So listen again. Let's thank you for doing this. We have a mutual friend. I believe he still sponsors you, Pete the Job Guy, Pete Langlois, and his wife Angie,
awesome
right?
guy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wicked fortunate to have him and haven't met him, and so he's been helping me out the past few fights. So wicked cool guy, and nothing but the greatest things to say about him.
I love it. Wicked cool, Matt. He's down here in Florida. He says things like wicked cool.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice.
Did you know? Have you spoken to him?
What's that?
Have you spoken to him, or is it like his team that you speak to?
Oh, I speak to him, yeah, but
okay.
actually, I never had a talk on the phone yet. I think it's all been through Messenger. So.
Okay. Yeah. He's from Boston. He has a segment. So he and I met through a friend. I built his new website. We started talking. Then I started helping him with his podcast. So I help him launch his podcast after he records it. He does a podcast called Pete the Job Guy, or Hard Worker. He spells it.
Wicked hard worker.
The E instead of ER, it's -AH. Hard worker.
Yeah.
So that's how I met. He mentioned you, and I said, hey, let's have this kid on. Let me know, give me his info, and here we are. So that's how we met. Talk to us a little bit about how you got into martial arts. We'll start there, and then we'll start talking about this crazy idea of jumping in the cage.
Yeah, crazy downplay it, man. So growing up, if we're gonna go real back, I was kind of like the smaller guy growing up. Even these days I'm in a small weight class, right? I'm at 135. So being the small kid growing up, you gotta learn to defend yourself. Like the everyday bullies and shit like that in school, whatever. And I early on I needed to learn how to defend myself. So I had my family, put me through Taekwondo, and at first it was just to see if I like it or not, but then I freaking fell in love with it, man. Just everything about it. I got my black belt through there in high school, and that led right into wrestling due to the fact that I got cut from the JV basketball tryouts. I was not a baller at all, man. I thought I was so good at 5'4", thinking I was going to go places, but didn't end up working out. But it worked out for the better because wrestling's, my newfound love. So I loved that through high school. That went right into college wrestling. And I wrestled 4 years at Bridgewater State. The head coach there, Frank Camisa, he actually corners Joe Lauzon, UFC fighter, UFC legend at this point.
Love Lauzon.
So, and the gym was probably about 25 minutes away from the college. So I needed to cut weight one night, and all the other gyms were closed. He's like, all right, I'll swing you by Lauzon's. I went there. And just, dude, another thing, it just flooded right into another love. I loved everything that was going on with that gym, from everyone hitting the bag, just the hard rounds I got to see sparring, and just people all trying to get better. And I knew I needed to do something after wrestling was over in college. So that just naturally went into MMA, and that's kind of how I got into it.
I have a question about the cutting, because I wrestled in high school too, and that's super. It was a long time ago. And I know a lot of things have changed, but was the collegiate weight cutting mentality on the same level as MMA weight cutting mentality in terms of sophistication when you were there?
That's actually a good question, because it's actually very different the way that wrestlers cut and the way that MMA fighters cut. Only due to the fact that wrestlers they have to cut weight maybe twice a week at some points. They have a meet on Wednesday, they have a meet on Saturday, and that goes every single week for the most part, here and there. But MMA, you have one day to weigh in, and you have months to prepare for that in some cases, or a month at most, at the minimum. So I think that I took a lot of things from the collegiate level of cutting weight, like how to, intake water load for the days prior and stuff like that, what to eat, what foods will retain water and stuff like that. So that helped me into the MMA scene for cutting weight. But in terms of the way you do it, it's much different, man. I think it's way easier in MMA cutting weight than in wrestling, because you don't have to do it so frequently every week.
You mentioned water loading. You saw him drink before, and you said, "Hey, are you water loading?" I've never heard the term water load.
No.
What does that mean? I'll let you explain.
Yeah, I'll let him explain it.
No, you're the guest. Go ahead, explain water loading.
So
hold on. Before you start, you got to say I am not a medical professional, and I don't recommend you doing this for losing weight. Now you can say
I'm not a medical professional. Listen, I've done it a couple times.
We'll put the disclaimer on the screen.
Yeah, don't take everything I say for, take it with a grain of salt. But basically, when you're cutting weight, you drink. I like to drink water like a gallon a day every single day. That's how I do it. Even if I'm not in fight camp, that's what I'll do. But if I have a fight coming up, the week of the fight, you have a weigh-in on Friday, fights on a Saturday per se. I like to drink about, maybe like a gallon on a Monday, a gallon and a half Tuesday, 2 gallons Wednesday. Thursday's when you really start to cut it out. And what that does, it kind of flushes everything out of your system. And you're just, filled with water. That's the only thing left you have to cut because you're cutting back all the foods and stuff like that a little bit. I don't know. Is there anything else I'm missing over there?
That's about it.
Yeah.
It's like it actually it shocks your body almost into like that's what's left.
Yeah.
So then when you
stop giving it water, it starts. When you stop giving, that's when you.
Yeah, I think there's also something like chemically that happens in your body when you load that much water into you.
Yeah.
And then you're also like avoiding salts, I believe, as well.
I wrestled a couple of years in junior high.
Yeah.
And I used to have to cut, and I used to wrap my stomach and my thighs in saran wrap.
Yeah.
Put on a couple of sweats and some hoodies, and get in my basement and just ride the bike in front of the TV for
there you go. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, man.
I had like the sweatsuit.
That's how I cut.
And then all day in class, I had a waiver, like permission essentially from my wrestling coach to chew gum in class, and I would chew Bubblicious sour apple gum, and I had a Gatorade bottle, and I wasn't swallowing my spit.
Yeah.
I was just spitting it out. And as soon as the flavor went away, stick another one in there.
Yeah.
Just nom, nom, nom.
Andrew, how much weight are you typically like? What do you walk around with, and where are you fighting?
So I usually walk like the heaviest I'll get is like 55, and that's if I'm really just like after a fight or something, I'm taking some days off and I'm eating whatever the hell I want. But usually it's like no heavier than 152, 150, and I fight at 135. But when I'm in camp, it's actually a lot of the time hard to keep the weight on because I work out 2 or 3 times a day every single day, and just the food gets burned so fast. And this fight's actually at 140, so I get to eat a little bit extra.
Ooh, catch weight.
Normal. Yep, catch weight. So I'm not complaining about that.
So I know when I'm working out hard, like I'm always so hungry. I like eat so much more.
Yeah.
That's got to be so hard when you're working out. Again, you're working out so hard. You're in the gym, I'm assuming, multiple times a day. And then you got to not eat that, especially that last week when like you probably want it the most.
Well,
that's got to be a major brain fuck, right?
I'll be a weirdo about it then, if I'm being honest. Like the fight week, if I'm cutting out food and stuff like I usually do, like I'll look up videos on YouTube of people making foods, like eating greasy foods,
really?
Like drinking like gallons of like Kool-Aid. I'm a weirdo about it, but it helps me get through it.
Geez,
yeah,
man.
I used. Well, he's a 135er as well. Are you familiar with Eric Shelton? Used to be in the UFC. He's like a cage aggression. Like
it sounds very familiar.
So is it the Showtime?
Yeah, Showtime.
He's got a nickname, Showtime.
Yeah.
Shelton.
I used to live next to him, and like when he would cut before a fight, man, it's just like the personality changes.
Yeah. We
like
should.
100%.
I think Andrew. I think I told you we live like I would call like South Florida, like the mecca of jiu-jitsu and American. We live. Well, I still live up by American Top Team. So he used to live like right by the old American Top Team building. The newer one.
Yeah.
Oh, the newer one.
Yeah.
Okay. So they put a facility right there in Coconut Creek, and he used to live right there. So all those fighters they lived in your development.
Yeah,
right?
they lived in
so
the
many
development,
of those guys.
and I think like they might have even owned some units because I saw Rosenstrike there.
Okay.
I saw a lot like what's the name of that girl that trades at the Goat Shed now with the red hair? She's bad, dude. Like she gets a ton of submissions all the time.
Yeah.
But anyways, like I would see her walking around with her dog. You know.
Yeah.
That's mint.
Yeah. It was neat for me. I was like, because I'm fanboying out.
Yeah, Miguel's a super fan.
Yeah,
over here,
I'd walk out. I'd be like,
yeah.
All of a sudden, you're buying a dog now, and you want to walk your dog too.
Yeah, his wife loved that.
Nah. Yeah, well, she loved all those shirtless. So, like, anyways, I befriended like a couple of them. Like Eric and I became good friends. We're still good friends. Shout out, Eric. What's up, buddy? And so, like, one day, like, we'd go to the pool or whatever, and he'd invite all the guys from ATT. And I'm, like, at the pool with my kids and my wife, and they're all, like, shirtless six-packs. And I'm like, all right.
You said something about your kids. Like, Daddy, how come he looks like this?
Yeah, my kids be like, they look like, I'd be like, hey, man, that's not my job. You know what I mean? Like, I don't got to.
Thank you to Feito IT and AV, specializing in commercial and residential automation, security cameras, CCTV, POS, and more. Check them out at feitoitav.com or call 305-428-2515 and let them know the dummy sent you. Thank you to Neutral Zone CBD, a combat family-owned company that supports athletes and the people who love them. Neutral Zone strives to deliver clean CBD products for sports recovery in gummies, lotions, balms, roll-ons, and more. After a competition, a hard rolling session, or a tough day on the job, Neutral Zone has a product designed to help you reduce inflammation, increase cell rejuvenation, and may even help with aging joints. Visit NeutralZoneCBD.com and get 25% off your order with code JJD. And follow them on Instagram too, at MyNeutralZone. Jiu-Jitsu's favorite monthly subscription box has now joined the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast. The BJJ box is delivered to your door filled with premium jiu-jitsu and grappling apparel, equipment, supplements, supplies, snacks, and more. The crew at the BJJ box find the best in the world of jiu-jitsu and guarantee every box to be worth more than the cost. Each box includes 4 to 7 items you're going to love. Visit thebjjbox.com and use code JJD10 to get $10 off your very first box. And give them a follow on Instagram at TheBJJBox. Special thank you to the crew over at Flow and Roll for all their support. Flow and Roll is renowned for their incredible no-gi rash guards, shorts, and leggings. Flow and Roll has quickly become the premier custom apparel provider for academies big and small throughout the United States. Reach out today to discuss your custom order and ask about their incredible pre-order program. You can send an email to flowandroll@gmail.com or visit their Instagram at flow_n_roll and shoot them a direct message. And yes, they can create an awesome custom gi for your academy as well. Visit flowandroll.com to check out their awesome designs, and while you're there, pick up a Jiu-Jitsu Dummy signature tee exclusively at flowandroll.com. And remember, you'll get 20% off your purchase of t-shirts, rash guards, or gis with code JJD.
Andrew, you mentioned he's probably one of my favorite fighters. I remember seeing him on The Ultimate Fighter. You mentioned Joe Lauzon. Is that his main academy? Is that his like HQ essentially, where you train?
Yep, Lauzon MMA. It's in Raynham, Massachusetts.
Okay.
It used to be in Easton. I know these towns don't mean anything to you guys. You don't know what they're called, but
I know Boston
a couple times. So he's actually thinking about opening up a new location somewhere else and having both. But right now, just one place in Raynham.
And do you get to train with him? Are you actively training with him? Would you consider him your coach?
Oh, yeah. He's definitely my head coach. I train with him multiple times a week. Usually it's like Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. We have like a 10 a.m. jiu-jitsu, and then that goes into an 11 o'clock wrestling type class where you do some takedowns into jiu-jitsu, wall work, and stuff like that. And he'll stick around, give me like, pointers for, sometimes up to an hour after and stuff. And he's just a huge help in the gym. He really is. So
how was your transition from wrestling into jiu-jitsu?
It was a little rocky at first, just because, I was doing so many stupid wrestler tendencies, like shooting a double leg with my neck hanging on the side of the hip, getting
bellying down.
Oh, man. Bellying down. Don't even get me started, man.
I know, man. I know. I feel you.
It's tough, but eventually we worked out the kinks, and I'm starting to get the hang of it, so things are working out these days. But at first, it was definitely a rough transition, but we're here.
But the good habits are good, especially when you start learning some of the judo stuff, like when they shoot on you and you start learning like the uchimaras, and you start learning, kicking them over your shoulder type stuff and landing into mount. Like I feel that wrestling, once you get rid of the bad kinks, for sure, the good stuff that sticks by, like wrestlers always have like a really good strong base, especially like in lower positions, and they just have a better sense. I think like a day one white belt versus like a day one white belt that has wrestling background, they understand leverage. Mm-hmm. And it's not just like leverage for breaks, like in joint locks. I think like leverage in terms of like, how do I keep this guy pinned?
Yeah. I think we see it in the UFC, right? With sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. With so many of the champions, I mean,
wrestlers.
Everybody has like a really big wrestling base. Mm-hmm. It's so obvious that you need that wrestling component. Yeah, and I think just as much as jiu-jitsu and you can have an argument, but there's never been has there really been a guy that's just like all hands and held a title for a really long time?
All hands?
Just, all stand up.
Silva?
Right? Who do you have?
Silva,
Machida, but I mean, again, held it for Silva held it for a long time.
Yeah.
But he was still a high level jiu-jitsu player though.
Yeah, but he just knock you out.
Yeah, no, that's true.
He used his jiu-jitsu and he used his wrestling to maintain distance and take up and like just defend to keep it standing because that was his power. But I would say all hands. He wasn't all hands. No.
Right now it's this Russian invasion. Is it really?
No, it's
Russian?
Dagestan. Well, yeah, it's a province. Yeah.
This invasion.
Chechnya. I would just say Eastern European countries.
Are you? I mean, again, look, I think it might be a little different than you than when we asked just like a straight up jiu-jitsu player, like, oh, do you watch jiu-jitsu? Because I'm the first to admit, like, just watching jiu-jitsu or tournaments could be so freaking boring. Are you like a heavy MMA? Are you watching like every UFC, every Bellator, all the local events? Are you that guy? Are you watching just as much?
I definitely like that's the sport I love watching the most. If I had to pick, but I'd say every UFC card I do find myself watching it. Now that you say it, I never really thought about it. But in terms of like Bellators and stuff, I'll watch it if it's on, but I don't really actively look for like Bellator fights on Fridays or whatever.
Nobody does.
No, I definitely.
Sorry, Bellator. There goes our sponsorship with Bellator. Our chances are out the fucking window.
Good riddance.
No, but honestly, like the local scenes, like you said, like watching the regional scenes, I think that's like obviously some of the talent's not always there in the beginning part of the cards, but for such cheap money to go to a show, like I'm always trying to go to any show I can. I just went to one, last weekend up in, northern Massachusetts, and it was an awesome fight. Awesome fights.
I went to, my wife knows she wants to keep me happy. She'll get me the occasional, our first Valentine's together before we were really like together. Was Wagner Rocha fight.
Wow.
He was the headliner. And she just brought me to one the other day right here in Coral Springs. We were in the second row. It's like on a stage. And we're in the second row. It was like right there. Fighters are coming down, jumping, down, saying, hug. Like everybody, all of their team would come up to like the third row, and then those guys would leave. And then like the next fight, all those people would come up to like the third row. They're like jumping over. We've got like video of them jumping over us to like hug their teams. I mean, it's just great. And it's like, it's incredible to see somebody at the beginning of their journey. So I see all of these banners behind you. I see all of these flyers. Yeah. You're is it 3-0 now as a pro?
I'm going for 3-0.
You're going for 3-0. So
I think you just foreshadowed it, but yeah, 2-0 right now.
So you're 2-0 right now, but you did a lot of amateur fights, right? Yes.
I had 7 amateur fights.
7 amateur fights.
It's a lot.
That's a decent amount, right?
At the amateur level.
Did you always know this? I'm going to do some amateur fights. I'm going to go pro, and I've heard you talk about it again. You want to go all the way with this. This isn't like, I took a couple of fights and let's see how it goes. There's a plan here. Yes.
100%. This is my one true love in this world, man. Like if I couldn't do it, I'd be a little depressed. Not gonna lie. After wrestling, like I was in a low point because I didn't know what I should do after. But then Lauzon, like we said earlier. But yeah, there's a plan. I can't wait to see where it takes me. Obviously, I have big aspirations, and I want to get to the peak of the sport, to the highest of highs, But I'm at the same time, man, like one of my favorite song quotes, it says like, if it gets me nowhere, I'll go there proud. Like as much as I really want to get to the highest of highs, I'm so happy fighting. I just love the sport. I'm so passionate about it. And regardless of where it takes me, I'm enjoying this journey. So
it's an industry. I mean, I think you got a lot of avenues no matter what happens.
For sure, yeah. It's only growing too, yeah.
How did your family respond to this choice of career?
It depends which family member you're talking about.
Yeah. Let me just say, I'm sure that your mom and your dad have two different opinions.
Yeah, my dad is like so obsessed with it. He's like living through me. He loves it. And my mom, she's come around finally. She actually, she's always gone to all my fights. I can't, thank them all enough. All of my family members are for that matter. But my mom at first hated it. She's like, Andrew, you know what? I'm gonna jump over the cage and I'm gonna, So she was a little messed up about it at first, but she came around.
So, was your dad a fight fan before, or is he a fight fan now that you're fighting?
He was a fight fan before, but it's only grown since I started. He loves it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's always trying to get. He like now everybody at Cage Titans at the venue, like they all know him. They go up to him, so he loves everything that comes with it too. So
that's cool.
Nice.
That's
cool. He's getting the red carpet rolled.
Yeah, man.
He like the promoter like grants him early entry into the venue now too. It's crazy.
Is Cage Titans one of the promotions that's like an affiliate of the UFC? Because I know they own so many.
No, it's not an affiliate of the UFC, but it's in terms of like the regional scene, it really is probably the biggest one in the region. And they're only growing too. Like they do a really good job marketing and treating all their fighters really well, making them feel like the UFC fighters and stuff. So
that's good to hear.
I think they have a leg up on the other promotions in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm content.
I was just also gonna say, like, I mean, I've watched a ton of amateur fights. And I just want to know your opinion. Where do you feel the level of your entry level amateur fighter is right now in comparison to, like, let's say 5 years ago?
So an entry level AMI fighter right now, like they're going for the debut compared to a debuter 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unreal. Like the sport is ever evolving. Like I'll even put an example right now. We have this kid, Drew Arpin. He's out of Lauzon's with me, and he's been dying to make his debut, and he's been training, probably half a year maybe.
Yeah. And
he just fought in the last card that I did, and he's already slotted for Fight of the Year in 2023.
Really?
It was such a high level fight. I highly suggest you guys look it up, honestly. I'll show you guys after and stuff.
Send the link, man.
I will. It was he's just a dog, and
I love that.
Not to just talk about him, but like, he's a debuter, and this other kid was debuting too, and they just put on a Fight of the Year. The talent is growing so much, and it's only going to go up. It's crazy.
So when you're in a local scene like that, I mean, we know it with jiu-jitsu, like, guys, they'll do a tournament, or even just training, even if you don't do tournaments, like, it's a small world. The jiu-jitsu world is small. You're like one or two people away from knowing somebody, right?
Right.
I know him, he knows, Drew, and Drew knows this guy, right?
Yeah.
Do you wind up in a position where you're fighting people that you train with a lot? I would assume so. Do you have to fight like friends every once in a while?
To be honest, I haven't fought a friend yet, and I'm kind of happy about it. But I also say I've had some awkward situations sometimes, like in the back room in these regional scenes. You're warming up with all these different people. Half the fighters of the night are in your side of the locker room, and the other half from the other side of the locker room.
They separate the blue and the red corner? Is that what they do?
Exactly. They separate the blue and the red corners, and there's these 35ers pro that I'm warming up around, and we kind of like we just kind of like walk by each other and like grill, give a little head nod, but like, because we know we can't be too friendly at this point because you never know what's going to happen. We might be able to fight each other, but I'm the type of guy where I have a whole new view on this. Everybody has that type of mindset, but I've been breaking it this past, year or so by saying like, New England MMA shouldn't have to fight New England MMA fighters. I mean, obviously that will happen, and if the rankings align where you need to fight somebody for a belt, then so be it, whatever. But I think in this early stage where I'm 2-0, the guy that I was just talking about in the locker room, he's now 2-1. He just lost that last one, unfortunately. But all these up and comers, why don't we just build each other up, cross train together, and we'll fight all these out of staters that bring the talent too. So
I mean that winds up being on the organization though, right? And their capacity to bring
outside talent.
To bring outside talent in. It's if you're going to bring outside talent in, it's like that you got to put them up, you got to pay them maybe a little bit more to come in, or pay for give them a per diem, pay for their lodging, right? I mean, I think that's why it is a regional thing, right?
I also think that's a really good idea because that's really attractive because now you have all these New England fans that are New England fans and fight fans, and now they could just unanimously just vote for their guys.
Yeah.
And girls, whatever.
But I mean, that's the nature of it. Like Cage Titans, and then I'm sure there's like a bigger regional organization, and then you get to the Bellators and to the UFCs, and like you said, they're picking up these smaller organizations.
I have a similar, I think even Sean from Flow and Roll said it. He's like, I want to host tournaments between jiu-jitsu gyms. So it's like my gym, your gym. We pick weight classes, and then we have the opponents go, and it's like,
I know you hate when I do this, but I just spoke to him last week, and like we're bouncing some idea. You know, kind of the back end of what we've talked about, and what we'd like to do for jiu-jitsu. It's not exactly there, but I get it. Yeah, it's it's a little bit about creating a regional scene in that regard. But
Yeah.
giving people a place to come do tournaments or to put on
but I'm even
tournaments
about
and
like
stuff.
Gracie Baja versus fight sports or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I mean, like the UFC did that, right? They did the Black Zillions versus American Top Team.
Yeah, like that.
Right?
Like the Paul Harris type style stuff. I like that.
How do you feel about something like that? I mean, I know it's just like just put on your just like imagine, would you do a Ultimate Fighting Championship? You know, would you do go into an Ultimate Fighter type of house? Would you get onto a reality show if you were invited, or even Dana White's
a regional
series,
one?
right?
Like that's what he's talking about. Like if there was like a tough, and then the tough was Northeast versus Southeast versus Midwest versus West, Northwest, Southwest.
Yeah.
You know, like
I think you guys are onto something.
like that'd be bad. No,
Just saying,
you
that sounds pretty
did it. That's badass.
Well, he was
That's
talking a little
idea.
bit about cross training, not necessarily like not sitting in the house together, but
he was saying
cross-training.
bring those.
Yeah, so you're fighting different people, so you're not fighting the people in your region. It's I mean that's the thing, you got to win, right?
like
and
it.
then you move up to nothing against Cage Titans. I'm sure you love them, but the goal is to start here and then move into larger organizations, right? I mean that's how you're gonna get where you want to go, right?
They're necessary.
I've let them know that too. Like and they know too. They don't
gotta
think
know, right? I mean that's got to be common.
Yeah. If Sean Shelby's there.
I'm sorry. Go
They
ahead.
know.
I'm interrupting you. There's like a little sound delay. I apologize, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Finish your thought there, Andrew.
No, I was basically cleared up. I'm just I let them know, and they know it too, that we're I'm not looking to stay forever, but I'm happy to have this temporary home with them. So they treat me well, and they understand what's going on. So
Yeah.
So we got some listener questions, and we're gonna talk about that. But let's go back to I want to go back to the amateur side of things. You said you had 7 amateur fights. What was your record as an amateur?
So I went 4-3. But those 3 losses, man, the first loss was my debut, and that's I didn't even really know exactly what I was getting into at that point. Honestly, I was fighting for the wrong reasons and shit like that. But the other 2 losses I had were actually kids from the same gym down in Alabama, SBG Alabama. They have a really good gym down there. These kids were studs. One was for the title. That I came up short in a split decision. Really, really close battle fight. Best fight most fun I've ever had in my life. And then the other one was my last amateur fight against his teammate, this kid Tyler Stevens, who's real tough dude. So and as an amateur, I was fighting the toughest talent I could to prepare myself for the pros. So I knew what I was getting into.
Okay.
I have a question. Like, what do you do to mentally prepare, for these type of fights?
My mentality's shifted throughout my entire career. At first I had to mature, and I felt myself mature. I've seen it now, where at first when I was fighting, I thought I had to get all riled up, and I was screaming and at this guy I don't know if you've seen any fights, but when I faced someone in the amateurs, I'd be in the cage when they're announcing me, screaming in their face, trying to get my mentality all riled up and stuff. And I just didn't think that was the right way to go anymore. And now I've taken a more calm approach and really dialed in on my senses and stuff. So I don't know. I know we both have to prepare for a fight. I try not to actually think about the fight through fight camp every single day, because I think the harder you think about it, as much as I love fighting, I truly love violence. I'll take a couple licks, I'll give it back. I love it. I just think if you think too deeply into the fight on fight night, you're going to get a little nervous and stuff. And why have those nerves act up any other day than on the day of the fight?
And have you found yourself have you cut people out of your life? Have you cut bad habits out of your life in order to improve?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. If you're not doing that, you're not trying to be successful.
Yeah, I'm just talking about examples, for there could be people listening right now that potentially want to go this route, maybe give them a shortcut.
I think that also has to be adjusted to your goals, though. My goal is to be the best of the best, so I had to adjust my day-to-day life in order to do that. Some people only want to get in there for an experiment type thing, and they'll go back to the ways they have. But I think if you want to be the best of the best, you have to be willing to sacrifice, fun things that you like to do, going out to the bars every weekend, eating shitty foods, drinking, So I kind of cut all that out just to dedicate for this.
You said before you were fighting for the wrong reasons. You said that first fight. What was that wrong reason, and what was the right reason now? Or what is the right reason?
Right now.
So the wrong reason was my first fight, man. Like I just, I saw I heard the crowd. I walked out to the song "All the Lights" with Kanye West. You know what I mean? So like even the song was symbolic of the bad mentality to have. And I was just, if you see me walking out on YouTube, man, for that fight, I'm just smiling at the crowd, like thinking like I'm the man, whatever. And I can't wait to knock this kid out in front of all my people and have them think I'm the man. Like it was just bad mentality. And it was an immature mindset to have. And, I think everything happens for a reason, though, and I learned from that very hard.
I'm a huge believer in that, and I like that you said that. I know, like, as a business owner, I've had that, like, I want to prove people wrong, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to shove it in their face. Look, I was able to do it. And now I do it for me, man. I do it for me. I have a new, my daughter's working for me, so, like, my goal is to, like, build this company for her now. And in the beginning, It was a little bit more like, I'm going to do this. It helped me do the podcast more, but at the same time, it was like, yeah, fuck my old bosses. I'm going to show them I don't need them, right? And then that stopped, and it's less weight. You carry less weight when you're doing it for yourself or your family. There's a bigger goal than, like you said, all of the lights, all right, Than that. Like, oh, I'm here for the spotlight. And I'm like, the podcast. I mean, we never even did the podcast. The podcast was like sitting around drinking beers with friends, going, we should record this, man. This would be so cool if we were. We used to have one of our first co-hosts was Junior Vega, and he was a black belt at that point. Maybe brown. He had just gotten his black.
Still a black belt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had just gotten his black belt around that time. And he used to just tell us these stories of, like, he was, kind of the Cyborg and Wagner days when those guys were just training and coming up, and they used to call themselves the Avengers,
something like that.
So he was trained with them during those times. And the stories that he would tell, I would just be like, man, I wish we could have recorded that. We're like probably never going to have that exact conversation again. And it turned into this. It was never for anybody else. I think that's why this is the most fun for me, is because this was never for anybody else. This was just for me. And I hope that my friends that did it with me had fun, and they could look back on this and be like, that was so cool. And then see a guy like you, like in 2 years, you're fighting in the UFC, be like, we had that dude on the, we had that guy on the podcast. That's so fucking cool. Like, that's why we do, like, because it's fun. I guess this is like the most fun thing I do. That's just, if it works, it works. If it doesn't.
Yeah, but we're doing it for the right reasons. I had somebody tell me I had like I left a job, and I was pretty upset about it. And somebody told me, he's like, hey man, well, one person's holding a grudge, the other one's out there dancing. So
yeah, for real. So that's
like
the mentality. Me now, I'm just like we walked in, Andrew. I had to text you, like, the main part of the podcast, the equipment goes, and I swear to God, I said I had a pretty tough couple of weeks just with work life, Valentine's Day I just went to South Carolina, so like it's been so hectic that I was just like, it didn't even faze me. I'm like, all right, we'll figure it out. Old school. Let's go old school. We filmed without this thing before. We don't have to stop. We don't have to call Andrew and tell him we can't do it. It just didn't faze me. I feel I'm in a good place with that. It's just like, listen, life is throwing a lot worse at me than a piece of equipment going. We'll figure it out.
Can always be worse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And as I'm a huge fight fan, and as a fighter, I'm sure it's even worse for you. Like, there's things that I've heard of things happening, like you pop a rib or you twist an ankle, like 2 days before or whatever. Not even fighting sometimes, I've had
that makes me. I want to know about. I was thinking about this. How do you deal with, like, loss? Does that? I can look back. Like, after everything I just said, there is time within jiu-jitsu. I could look back on, like, losing in a tournament, or like somebody beating me in the gym that shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And like, it bothers me, but like when it creeps up, it creeps its evil little head.
And that didn't
I guess
happen.
It's like the devil on the left shoulder, right? The devil's like on the left, like that. He pops his head out, and I got to be like, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
That was so long, it doesn't mean anything.
And on
how
top
do you
of that,
deal with loss?
And on top of that, in front of hundreds of people.
Yeah, or thousands, right?
Yeah.
How do you deal with those kind of losses? Do you carry them with you, or are you able to be like, like we say in jiu-jitsu, you don't lose, you learn?
So yeah, I mean, all that, if you don't, you either win or you learn, right? But I look at losses as it's so stereotypical to say whatever, but it's just huge learning lessons. Obviously, if I ever take a loss like I did in the Amis, I'm going to spend a day or two and just be depressed as hell, and and just, cry a little bit or whatever. But I use it as fuel. I really do. I'm not just someone that says that. I remember the feeling of losing. I remember the feeling of being outside of the venue the next morning and like, wow, that just happened to me. Like, I just put all this work in and I came up short like that. Like, that sucks. But I use it to fuel me, and I use it to come back like a so much stronger me. And I actually take pride in that. When I look back in my MMA career, every loss I had, I've never lost twice in a row. I've always come back strong, ready to come back like a whole new version of the Gladiator, right? And it just fueled the fire.
What would you be doing if you weren't fighting?
If I wasn't fighting, I went to school at Bridgewater State. I got a degree in marketing, management with a marketing concentration. So
no wonder you got so many sponsors. See what I tell you? The marketing background helps, right?
A lot of people say like, "Oh, why aren't you using a degree?" But I do use my degree every day. I really do. I use the marketing lessons I learned and stuff and implement it. But anyway, if I wasn't fighting, I'd probably be doing something like that. Or if I say I stopped fighting right now, say something awful happened, I don't even want to say it, but I had to stop fighting right now, I'd try to get into some type of coaching gig, or I love the sport so much where I think I need to stay in it, whether it's low level like personal training every single day or something, or coaching classes at the gym. I don't think I'd be content if I took myself completely out of this.
Yeah. What about cornering?
I'd love to corner.
Yeah.
I've only got to corner once so far. My teammate Joe Poyer, he won the title actually in New York, but that was an awesome time.
Hey, I've been in competitions, definitely not at your level and definitely not doing what you're doing, but I've competed, in jiu-jitsu and in wrestling, and I've had, other things where I've had to compete. And to me, I've always had the mentality of like, your coach knows you, right? Knows how fast you could run, right? And they're essentially outside looking in. How much value do you give your coach when they're cornering you in a position in a fight? Like what makes you do what they tell you to do, and what makes you not do what they tell you to do?
So I'm very picky about my corners, and I'm fortunate enough to where I put all my trust. I actually thought about this today, not like corners, but my coaches. I put all my trust, like 100% of it, into my coaches in my corners. I trust them to be able to give me the right moves I need to do in a fight. And it's almost like this little superpower that fighters have or maybe even experience in jiu-jitsu competition when everyone's yelling and screaming, you can almost dial in on a single voice.
Right.
And I hear my coaches over all these thousands of people screaming and shit. It's crazy. And, I put all my trust into it. If I didn't trust them, they wouldn't be cornering me.
Yeah.
So do you wake up? Is this the full-time gig? I know I've heard you talk about, I think there's a family business. Your dad runs a business, and you got a sister, I think, that owns a business, right? But
yep.
Do you work with your dad still?
Yeah, my dad, he has it's like a side gig in the summertime. It's a party time rental. It's a party rental business. He rents out tables, chairs, big party tents.
That's a good business.
And my sister, she runs this pawn shop in Manchester, New Hampshire called U.S. Golden Pawn. But I don't really work with my sister, but in the summertime, I help my dad out from time to time, set up tents for the weekends and stuff. But other than that, this is my full-time gig. I don't do anything else except, actually, I just started doing private lessons. I'm teaching private lessons to some people a few times a week now, just to get a couple more bucks. But
so let's go back to the jiu-jitsu side of things now. So you started. Tell me about how you started fighting. I understand the wrestling. You decide. I mean, you're exercising at a gym and you just start hitting the bag, or are you like, I think I'm going to become a fighter.
When he was cutting, he had to cut weight, and he went to that gym.
Yeah, okay, so that is that where you found where you found this? That's where you found MMA.
There's also when I was at the gym, there was so many different fighters at the gym that I'm surrounding myself. It's not like I'm at the gym at Lauzon MMA and I'm training with, say they're in a class of 20 people. Per se, say there's 14 just jiu-jitsu guys, people that are going there just because they want to get better at jiu-jitsu, which is unreal. It's great. But there's always going to be at least like one or two guys that fight. And there's usually, like I said, the six others. and surrounding myself with them on a day-to-day basis, seeing them get ready for their fights, it's like it's almost an addiction where like, okay, I need to do this. I need to put myself to that next level and grind where they're grinding, and and chase that. So, and there was actually one kid in particular, this kid Randy Costa. He actually trains down in Florida now these days. He was at what the heck's the gym, Dan? I can't think of it right now, but he's training down in Florida. He used to come to Lauzon's though. That's where he started out, and me and him were like boys. He went to the same college as me, and he basically guided me in my early stages of my MMA career.
How soon were you doing jiu-jitsu after you found that gym? Was it right away?
Right away. I knew I needed to, get those floodgates open and just start doing jiu-jitsu every single day just to, implement that.
And how do you feel your jiu-jitsu game's improved now since you started from the wrestling to now? Is it a couple years?
Oh yeah. It's I think I went to Lauzon's in 2019. So it's been, 3 or 4 years, and I truly believe that like it's actually one of my strong suits at this point. I think at first I was a wrestler with some kicks, and at this point I listen, I'm trying to stay as humble as I can, I swear. But I really do think all around I'm solid. I'm fucking solid.
You gotta have that as a fighter.
That's
you gotta have it.
We talked a little bit the other day. A lot of MMA guys just don't do belts. They don't put on the gi. But there's still kind of a level. I mean, if you're training, how often were you training in the beginning? Was it like immediately, okay, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, every day? Were you training right away? Did you know this is what you were going to do? Or were you saying, I'll go to train after work today,
After wrestling was over, because wrestling was like a full-time gig too, but after wrestling was over, it was probably every day, but maybe like once a day.
Okay.
And
I'm asking that to go, we talked about belts, and I'm like, 4 years you're training, let's just even say once a day, 5 days a week, 3 to 5 days a week. Typical purple. School, you're going to be about a purple belt about now. You're going to be purple, a couple of stripes. So that's respectable. Like, again, we talked about, you're like, well, I don't really, we don't do belts. I don't know what belt I'd be at. Now, then you talk about people who compete. Maybe they get held back a little bit longer. So, if somebody was like doing tournaments who's like in a gi, they'd probably be at blue. Their coach would be kind of holding them back. I don't know if you call it sandbagging still.
No, it's competitive.
There's competitive belts, right?
There's competitive belts.
And we talk about that
difference.
too. Yeah.
A competitive blue belt, I've seen competitive blue belts fucking mop the floor.
But easily
belt.
he'd be a purple belt. And,
and the tenacity of an MMA fighter, and just like, I don't know, it feels different when anytime you deal with a professional athlete, it feels different. And then especially like between a high school wrestler and a collegiate wrestler, man, there could be a 30-pound difference, and that collegiate wrestler just has that mentality and that tenacity to just overtake that, and it transfers to jiu-jitsu equally.
Is there a Mrs. Andrew?
Is there a Mrs.?
Is there a Mrs. Valdina?
Nah, man. I don't know if you saw my my last Instagram post on Valentine's Day, but I was holding like a training dummy. And I was
I did see that.
That's the only Mrs. I got.
I like, even a girlfriend or anything? No girlfriend?
I go on a couple dates here and there. I'm not going to give my whole love life on this podcast.
But it's always, my questions are always leading somewhere. My questions are always leading somewhere because I like to get a feel of like how, the person in this relationship is like, are you fucking crazy? You're going, you're picking this profession where you're going to get punched in the face every day. It takes a very unique individual to come into a situation like that. Not that they don't exist, but that's not an easy transition for somebody who's never dated somebody who's a fighter. I
hear you.
On such a small level, and our listeners probably get sick of me talking about this. My wife hated, in the beginning, I was training jiu-jitsu 6 days a week, easily. 6 days a week, open mats on the weekend. She hated it. And now she understands it. She found kickboxing, and she does that on her own. More like, I call it like the dance fighting. They just hit the bag and hit pads, and she's not really sparring. But she found something she was passionate about and now understands this. Plus, I don't do this now 6 days a week. It's like I train 3 or 4 days a week and, do some weights and the podcast and work. Life happens. But I always like to understand, I know what I went through. It's not always easy to find somebody that's going to be
and
like...
that's just jiu-jitsu. Recreational jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's recreational jiu-jitsu. And
you're
it's hard for
training
somebody.
2-3 times a day. And then there's recovery.
And getting hit in the face. At least we don't get hit in the face.
Bro, it's not even about that. Like, if you only just got hit in the face once a week, like let's say theoretically you could fight once a week. I think if you could just go fight once a week and that was all the time you spent doing that, like you're not gonna have a hard time. But it's the I gotta wake up at 9 a.m. and I gotta stretch, and then by 11 a.m. I'm doing warm-up drills. And now my passive income is while I'm at the gym, I eat a quick breakfast, and now I teach 2 privates. And then from the 2 privates, I go into my afternoon. I'm doing strength and conditioning. After my strength and conditioning, I eat and I rest a little bit. Maybe I get 1 more private in.
Does that sound about right?
And then
yeah, I was going to say he's hitting the nail on the head right now.
He knows. And then you have the night competitive class, and that's when you do your hard spot. You want to do this stuff at night because that's when you fight in real life.
Absolutely.
So you want to condition yourself. You want to play loud music. You want to. There's like a bunch of shit you got. I know a lot of MMA fighters. I'm not gonna say I know a lot of MMA fighters. I follow enough MMA fighters on Instagram, and I've been around them enough to know that they do wild shit that seems wild but makes total sense for fighting. Like they'll stay up all night playing video games. It's like, why are you doing that? Well, I live in Florida and I got to fight in Vegas, and right now it's 7. It's like It's like I got to get conditioned to 8 p.m. Vegas time, which is 11 p.m. Florida time, and I'm not a big star, so I can't go over there and stay in the PI for fucking, So it's like when you're at the bottom, like it's even harder to grind to the top. So I would say it'd be pretty difficult to date.
Thank you for answering that, Miguel.
He killed it. That was
That's about right. So we actually got some listener questions that we're going to get into, Andrew. And I'm going to preface this with, some people commented, right? And then some people sent me messages.
Okay.
I don't know if 1 or 2 of these are guys that you fought, might be fighting, or even maybe. Who's the guy that you're fighting that's coming up? What's his name?
I'm fighting this kid, Michael Taylor.
Michael Taylor. I don't think any of these are from Michael Taylor. So
I wish there was.
So this first one, no, because I look at the tone a lot of times, like when we put out the questions post, somebody might come in and try to be a dick. But I'm going to ask this first one and understand I'm reading what they said. So this is it's just Tony. It's just Tony J.
Buddy.
Oh, he's your buddy. Okay. He says, ask Valdina the ballerina how many rounds he expects this next fight to go. And explain the ballerina part.
Yeah, I bet you got a real kick out of that one. But anyway, he's a good shit. He's actually one of my he's one of my sponsors. This company, Word of Honey, just starting it up.
Okay.
But anyway, to answer his question, I'm pretty infamous for giving my predictions leading up to fights, and I've been pretty spot on lately. But I gave a prediction earlier on an Instagram Live with Cage Titans, actually, and I said that I am going to finish him. I'm pretty vague at this point. I usually dial in my prediction closer to fight night, and I don't know how that works, but the closer I get to fight night, I almost have this little insight like my goddamn genie. And I think I'm going to finish him. It's not going to go longer than 2 rounds. That's all I can say right now.
Okay.
Submission finish? Oh, you said no more. Okay, I'm not going to press.
Do you use like visualization? Do you meditate? Because usually people that do that, they wind up kind of doing what you just said, is like I kind of dial it in. What is there something about what you do that helps dial it in, or is it just no? I kind of feel it.
I kind of just feel it. I mean, the stuff that I work and it comes to match up with the opponent that I'm fighting and their style.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's kind of where it comes from.
All right. So if Tony, his name is Tony.
Tony,
Tony, he's got to listen to the podcast, and then we might give him a T-shirt or a mug. All right. Okay, so we got
choose the
Dan
mug.
Walsh, MMA. You know this guy?
Yep.
Okay. He's. I think we kind of touched on this a little bit, but what's the biggest evolution you've seen in your jiu-jitsu over just the last year?
That's a good.
That's actually a teammate of mine at Lauzon's. He's a good kid. Biggest evolution in my own jiu-jitsu in the past year, I would say. So I've been working with this kid Carlos Lazoya. This is kind of more of a specific answer, but there's this kid Carlos Lazoya. He's a really good black belt, collegiate wrestler, high level, really just a stud all around. And he's a small guy too. And I've been rolling with him so often this past year because I just met him. He just came to Lauzon's, and he's been showing me the style of jiu-jitsu where like instead of these stupid, like, early novice type of mistakes where I'm just being a spaz, moving around all the time, he likes to slow cook his opponents, right? So we're like,
I love it.
you really make them feel your weight, and you stay on top and get them tired by doing such little movements. So my efficiency, I'd say my efficiency to keep it short is the biggest evolution.
You just described my jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
and the way my coach
It's unreal.
That's old man jiu-jitsu.
I like cook my opponent. That's
cooking him.
Yeah,
so that's a lot of leg dragging, shoulder pressure.
Yes, sir.
So are you familiar like with the jiu-jitsu, like the big guys in jiu-jitsu? Not big as in weight, but like big, like they're kind of famous in the jiu-jitsu community. Have you heard of Andrew Wiltsey from Daisy Fresh?
No.
Well, I think he started his own gym. So I would recommend. Right, to look up Andrew Wiltsey. He's the only BJJ player that's sponsored by a food place.
Panda Express.
Because every time, and this dude wins worlds, this dude wins everything. And
he
loves them.
But he basically stalked them into getting a sponsorship.
He submitted them into sponsoring him because he got so many people in the jiu-jitsu community to just be like, bug him. I contributed. But anyways, I would suggest look into Andrew Wiltsey, and he has a very almost MMA focus. He's a takedown guy. He's submission hunting. When it comes to guard passing, it's called the buzzsaw system. He does not stop. But in terms of that pressure, that shoulder pressure, he has a very good shoulder pressure technique. So I'm just throwing that out there.
That's a Gordon Ryan thing too. Like if you said if
he's lazy.
I like the slow cook him. I like that.
Yeah,
lazy.
He's lazy. Yeah. Gordon Ryan's literally the laziest. Yeah.
I get it. I look him up.
Yeah. Look up Andrew Wiltsey. You could just tell me I'm retarded. My profile's public. You can just go ahead and send me a DM.
Right. So we actually got a question from Cage Titans. They said, "What is it like to fight in Cage Titans?"
Of course, the ask that, right?
It's self-promotion here.
Real creative, Cage
Titans. Awful. It's the worst experience. No. Cage Titans. This is me being completely honest. I'm not trying to butter up for them, but I've said it in multiple podcasts where they just do it right compared to other regional scenes. Like I said earlier, we're touching upon that a little bit, where they just treat us all like the highest level of UFC fighters by, giving us our own gear in the locker room to walk into the locker room and receive. They give us all, fight banners that we can promote ourselves on social media. I just think it's the right promotion to choose if you really want to get yourself to that next level, just because they have such big reach and they can reach such a large audience compared to these other promotions. So I'm so happy and lucky that this is my first organization I fought for, and I've been sticking with them, and until whatever promotion's next.
Sorry, our emergency phone things are going off. Somebody just got kidnapped.
Uh-oh.
That's not funny.
No, well, it's an Amber Alert.
Yeah.
So somebody just got kidnapped.
It's the worst.
Right? Do you see? Are you familiar with like One Championship? Right. So, would you travel to Asia to fight? Do you want to stay in the U.S.? Is it? I'm going to say it this way: we interviewed somebody who had turned down a Bellator contract because he was waiting for the UFC, and then he got onto Dana White's Contender Series. I won't say the name, and he didn't get on. Not to say that he'll never get on, but is it, in your opinion, would you kind of like take the best first offer, take the first offer, period?
No.
Are you waiting for the best offer? Like, do you think about those kind of things on a daily basis, or, as fights are coming up?
I do. I actually think about that a lot. And there's so many different avenues you can take in the sport where, again, it depends on your goals, whatever. But even if you want to get to the best of the best, talent-wise, any of these organizations will do its justice. Regardless if it's quote unquote UFC, where everyone puts that as like the number one, and maybe it probably is. But my goal in particular is not to be getting into the UFC. My goal is to be the best of the best in the world. And regardless of what promotion that is, I'm going to pursue it as hard as I can.
Yeah, you'll be the best.
And my coaches might get mad at me for this, depending on which one you ask, but I've almost said to myself where, like, I'm not taking anything away from my opponents at all. But as an amateur, I'm going to get to my point, I promise. But as an amateur, I fought really tough people to prepare myself for the pros. Now as a professional, Some people take the approach of taking like the hard fight right off the bat, your debut and your pro. Like that's, if I'm gonna get somewhere, let me fight the toughest of the tough, or else I'm never gonna make it. That works for some people, but for me, what I did was fight tough people, the pros, and now I'm kind of just resetting a little bit and taking some fights that kind of build the record a little bit, but these guys are still tough. They show up anywhere, anytime.
The UFC's doing that. I mean, look at Sean O'Malley. Like they fed that dude cans for fucking 3-4 fights. They were tough, but like for his skill level.
Sean O'Malley, say what you want about him. I think that's the smartest way to do it because
I agree.
He built himself to be prepared for these tough people.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is if I got a UFC offer after this next fight, I'd probably turn it down. I mean, I probably would because my goal isn't to get to the UFC. It's to be ready for the UFC. And when I'm there is to keep excelling.
Yeah, you don't want to. You don't want to get that call.
They do that a lot at the UFC.
Especially they do it like
give
if
you
somebody
2-fight contract.
And or they, hey, listen, when somebody dropped out, do you want to fight? You get that call. Maybe it's the last minute. You're prepared, but you maybe not. You might be physically prepared, but maybe not mentally prepared to take a fight in the UFC 3 days later, a week later, whatever it may be.
Right.
I mean, would you take that again? So we're talking about contract and we're talking about a fight. Would you take a last minute fight? And if Bellator or UFC called you up and said, "Hey, listen, we got this opening. Somebody dropped out. Would you take it?"
Yeah, that's a different story. If it's a last minute replacement and they need somebody, luckily I stay ready all the time. And I 100% would take that. I think you'd be a fool not to.
Yeah.
You hear that?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the UFC, for all the complaints that you hear from fighters, we don't know. We hear it from them, but I can probably say that every fighter that I've seen that has taken a last minute fight, the UFC always gives them another shot.
Yeah.
If you come in and you lost a last minute fight and you performed well, even if you performed okay, they almost always give that guy another shot.
Yeah.
They give him a shot and they give him time, and like it's just like, thank you for doing that, thank you for filling in.
For sure.
Now we're going to give you another fight.
That's
so
appropriate.
I mean, I would definitely take it. I mean, I know, Juan turned down that Bellator contract.
Yep.
Juan Puerta, we had him on the show. He talked about he turned down a Bellator contract.
He won the Contender Series fight.
And then years later, he finally gets a shot with the UFC, which is the Contender Series. He wins, but doesn't
didn't
get
get the
chosen.
contract, yeah.
So,
and I mean, I have my own opinions about that, but it's like, I think in the UFC, not only do you have to be a good fighter, you also have to be a good interview, and you also have to be a showman. So it's like you have to prepare for quite a bit.
What do you think about that, Andrew? Do you feel that's correct?
I do, and I think the UFC, obviously, it's a fighting organization, but I have friends that are gone to the Contender Series, like you said, and they've experienced the PI and all this different stuff, the employees, and I even have Joe Lauzon, who's been in the UFC for who knows how long, where it's a friggin' marketing department. It really is. That's exactly what the UFC is.
It's an entertainment company. It's a brand. It's
a modern day Coliseum, and you are a gladiator.
Yeah.
And if you want to be the guy who they send out there to get eaten by the lion, then you could be that guy. And if you want to be the journeyman who's out there, you could be that guy too, or you could be a star. And
is Lauzon still he fought like last year, right? He fought in 2022, right? He's still part of the UFC.
I think it might have been 2021 where he fought Jonathan Pierce and he beat him in a UFC Boston. Actually, he was freaking sick at the guy.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to fight Donald Cerrone, but that got pulled out. Like Cowboy pulled out, and then Joe had to pull out because of a knee injury, so it never happened.
Yeah. Always one of my favorite fighters. I mean, I remember him
Cerrone?
from Lauzon.
Oh, Lauzon, yeah.
I remember seeing him in the house on Ultimate Fighter, and then it's like when
he's like a staple.
There's a certain attachment that you have when I watched probably the first 10 seasons, and then I kind of faded away. Life, life just gets in the way. But
like
I watched, I watched so many of those seasons. And I think you become attached over the years. Like oh man, he was in the fighters. Like you automatically have this connection to them, and you root for them. I tell people I don't have fighters. I don't watch a lot of fights with like this is my fighter, and I'm gonna root for him, and I'm gonna put money on him. I want to see good fights.
Yeah.
It's not like it's almost like watching football team and rooting for both for both teams. Like when this team is up, I'm rooting for the underdog, and then when it switches, I'm rooting for the
other
guy.
Have a dog
that's
in the
the
race.
way. That's the way I watch MMA specifically. When I watch the UFC, I could go back and forth rooting for them. I may not be screaming it, but inside in my head, I'm going like, come on, man, you got some more. Oh, you got some more. Oh, shit. Come on, bud. Come on. You got some more, too. You could do it. You know, I go back and forth like that. I don't have fighters that I root for like that, but I definitely have fighters I root against.
Yeah.
And it's usually the guys that talk a lot. You know, I don't like the talkers. I don't like the, show me it in the ring. Don't all the blah, all the talking. I don't like those guys. Those are the only guys I'll root against. Otherwise,
there's one more.
Go ahead.
There's one more. The guy who comes out for the fake handshake and throws a blow, or the girl.
Yeah, that guy's.
Yeah.
You're never going to live that down. You think that's working in your favor.
I'm saying when you're rooting against somebody hard.
Yeah.
That one for me is.
That ever happened to you?
No, that never happened to me. It never will. I'm going to make sure of it.
Protect yourself at all.
You got to
protect yourself at all times. You got to do that. You got to do the head nod before. You throw up your hand and you go.
But that guy could.
And if that guy goes like this and it's still a little sus, you do the John Jones hand.
Yeah. Real far.
You know what's crazy? You just said that. Like before this podcast, I was driving. I was watching like a fight on YouTube. Actually, let's take that.
I'm driving and your insurance rates are going to go up.
No. That didn't happen. I was parked. But anyway, I was watching this fight because it just popped up. K-Site's put up. It was my teammate, but it was an old fight of his debut, and he signaled for a glove touch. And the guy said, yeah, they go out in the ring, and the guy fakes it, hits him with a couple like 1-2s, but my teammate thankfully knocked him out. It was good.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
You can see those guys that come in real, they
the
hesitate
latest,
a little bit. They're like, okay, and then they touch really far away.
The latest one that sticks in my mind, it was in the UFC. It was those two females, and she comes out for a glove touch and then throws a high head kick.
Oh, Jesus.
And that other girl obliterates her in like a second.
Protect yourself at all times, though, right? They let you... touch hands in the beginning, and then it's like, go back.
Protect yourself at all times.
We got a couple more questions. So we've got, I'm going to say Ailes, JML. He says, anything you wish you knew as an amateur that you know now?
Anything I wish I knew as an amateur that I know now? That it's not going to, it's kind of like maybe you should know it as an amateur. It's pretty like straightforward, but I've definitely been embracing this mentality as a pro now, where I realize this goal, this dream is not going to last forever. Everybody has an end date, right? Whether it's you fight until you die, or you fight until your knees give out or whatever. So really embrace the time you have as an amateur and getting those training sessions in, giving it your absolute all, because when it's over, you're going to be left with that question: did I give it all, or was there a little bit more that I could have gave? So. Definitely remember that going into all your training sessions.
I like that.
Yeah. How do you take sparring? Like, do you do hard sparring? Sometimes hard sparring, not hard sparring.
It's all mixed. So I actually only spar once a week. I used to spar a couple times a week, but I've reduced it. I don't think it's really necessary. Some people do, maybe, whatever. I do Saturday mornings, and I'll mix in, like, we do like 5 3-minute rounds, then we do 5 5-minute rounds.
Mm-hmm.
The 3-minute rounds, I'll usually go a little bit lighter, maybe with someone new, just to work on some new things and give them some, looks, whatever. And then when the 5-minute rounds happen, that's when like the pros really step in, and we all. Sometimes it's some people that really bring the pace, and I just always match the pace of who I'm going with. But if there's a fight that I have lined up, I'll actually sometimes take a day out of the week that's not a Saturday, come in and ask specific training partners to come in. And I'll spar them for my, 3 5-minute rounds, whatever, and it'll be a pretty hard pace.
That's good, yeah. And at your weight class, I mean, you guys move all over the place, yeah. And the cage, athletic. it's very athletic. And then also, I mean, being a smaller fighter, the cage is bigger, so you got more to work with, and it makes things more difficult. I think, closing the distance. Yeah. No, I was just wondering because, there's a lot of talk about just brain injury and fighting and people taking different approaches, like Max Holloway. He's like, I already know how to fight. I don't need to get hit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But, at the amateur level, you got to take your licks.
I think that's changed a lot. I mean, it wasn't, I would say, maybe the last just couple of years.
Yeah.
The whole, maybe we shouldn't cut weight like this anymore. And maybe we shouldn't be getting, doing hard sparring 3 days a week.
Yeah.
People are becoming a lot smarter about this. Do you think somebody who did? I don't know if it was Max Holloway. Who's a Kukui?
Ferguson.
Ferguson did was it his last fight? He did He trained himself, so he did no hard sparring. Do you think that you can go into a fight without doing any hard sparring before?
I mean, it's hard to say because I've never done that, but I think I could. I mean, sparring is mainly used these days for me. Like, I'm not looking to like get hit and see how well I take it. You know, I'm going into sparring rounds to work on things that I've been drilling every single day with my coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as I'm getting my reps in with my coaches, I'm sure I do fine sparring. You know, fighting without a sparring. But Tony Ferguson should not have sparred leading up to that last fight. Let me just say that.
Yeah. It's
he kind of
feels like it might be getting to him already.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost taken like that Diego Sanchez type.
God, I was just thinking the same name, man. I've been following him lately. The shit that he's putting out. I want to like stop following him, but then I don't want to miss the craziness. Not as like I don't want to miss the craziness as far as like I want to see him implode.
Yeah,
I just want to like I'm interested in hearing like where's this
gonna go?
Where's this going now?
I feel kind of bad, you know.
I do too.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think is it the blows to the head? I mean,
probably.
It's like the most obvious thing. You know? It's just like
he's had about 14 of those Clay Guida fights.
Yeah. Man, you ever have a banger like that? Have you ever had an all-out war like that yet?
In a fight?
Yeah. You know, in the ring.
That title fight that I had with as an amateur, we went 5 rounds, and you know we were trading a lot, but it wasn't anything close to what you guys are talking about with them.
Yeah,
man.
Takes a toll, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Right.
Hey, I still give it up to Diego Sanchez.
We got one last question. Don't hang up. We're gonna have Bo take some pictures of us just for promo and so we can create some launch images, things like that. So this one again, this is one of the ones in the beginning where I apologize that I don't. You might know this guy, or he might just be being a dick. Right. This is Joey Starnuts.
Oh yeah.
You know this guy too? Okay.
Yeah, he's good.
He says, "Ask Valdina, blondes or brunettes, blunts or joints."
Blondes or brunettes, and then blunts or joints.
Blunts or joints.
Yeah.
Oh man, listen. I'm gonna have to tell certain girls not to watch. No. But no, I'm definitely a blonde girl. I think I like blondes more. I'll probably say it, whatever. But and then when it comes to blunts or joints, I'm a joint guy. I think the blunts take too much of a toll on my lungs. So definitely. All right. Blunts.
Do you think are you using marijuana for recovery? I mean, is that like an obvious question?
Yeah,
is it recreational?
Yeah.
Does it really take the edge off the pain for you, like to help you recover?
You know what it more so does, man? Like maybe that is helping. I'm if you look into the science, maybe it does help me recover. But I only usually, smoke at the end of the night. I've actually been switching to edibles now. But I think it just helps me just like I'm nonstop go from the time I wake up to right when I get back to my place to relax for the rest of the night. And that's when I'll do it. I can just take the edge off and like do something that's actually like non-combat related. And,
I feel like it's a little bit of a switch. It's an on-off switch for the brain. It's like, okay.
Exactly what it is.
Let me turn this off. And
eating it is way less harsh.
Yeah.
You metabolize it different. So you have more of a body high, I think I wouldn't even call it, what you said. I would say supplementing with edible THC is what I would do. What about you, Milton? Blondes, brunettes, blunts or joints?
Brunettes and bowls.
Yeah.
All right, what about you over there now?
Man, I'm going to have to go blondes and blunts, man. Yeah.
My wife is brunette. His wife is
I might make
blonde.
a shirt because I like the way that sounds.
Brunettes and joints.
All right. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Listen, I appreciate you doing this, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, hold on. No. What are sponsors?
Hey, I'm glad he stopped me. But go ahead and give us a rundown of your sponsors. Give them some shout outs. This is your time.
See what's up.
Sorry. Whoops.
No.
1 sec. I got to pull it up on my phone really quick.
That's okay.
Do what you got to do.
All right. So, these sponsors, I'm very thankful for them. They definitely help me.
Put your put the cat. There you go. Perfect.
That's better. Here we go.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Very thankful for all these companies that sponsor me. Some are, brand new. Some have been sticking with me since, even my first amateur fight. Thankful for them. They definitely helped me keep my head above water. So to start, Jen's Jewelers. I'm just going to name some like where they're at and kind of what they're about really quick. They're in Billerica, Massachusetts. They just sell jewelry, and I'm very grateful for them. They're a newer company to sponsor. Get Right Nutrition. They are located in Drayton, Massachusetts, the hometown, and that's my go-to spot for after my workouts. I'll go up right over there and get some protein shakes. Or they got these like protein balls that are unreal. Highly suggest everyone goes there and gets the Gladiator shake. They actually named it after me. Matty C Sports for You and Me. That's a local regional podcast in the area, and he decided to give me a sponsorship just for this fight here. Thankful for him. He gives me the platform to promote my fights. Hurricane Hydraulics. I actually don't know too much about him because this is a brand new sponsorship, but I'm very thankful for him. I think he actually trains, or his son trains at Lauzon MMA, so I appreciate the support. Invisaware. It's actually a cool company. They stuck me since day one, my first amateur fight. Basically what that company is you'll have like a piece of jewelry like this, like a little ring or something, and hidden inside is a little button you can press if you're feeling uncomfortable, where like, say you're leaving the bar at like 2 a.m. and you're alone and you see like a shady group of guys or something, or you get in an accident and you don't have cell phone or something. You can press this button, the emergency service will come right away.
Really?
It's like life alert.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it is, but it's a more fashionable type thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
They try to hide it better than just having.
That's very cool, man.
I'm usually the guy scaring the people.
Yeah. You're a big fucking teddy bear, bro. Come on.
Milton, I might have to gift you an Invisaware ring for this guy.
That's very cool, man.
I make you cross the street.
I'm going to need one.
Next is McNeil Landscaping. I wrestled with this kid through high school. He's a great guy, really tough, hard worker. And he does basically all the landscaping and all the plowing, actually, for all of basically northern Massachusetts.
Nice. I love a guy who plows.
Pete the Job Guy in Jacksonville, Florida. He's a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
Thankful for him. He actually hooked me up with this podcast here, getting my name out to you guys. I seriously appreciate you guys having me on. I can't thank Pete enough for getting my name out there too.
Absolutely. Let me add that he runs a company called Ascendo, and they do staffing. So like his Pete the Job Guy podcast is a lot about getting his name out there and I don't want to say just getting business, but educating people on career paths, career advice. And then again, he can help companies with staffing and find them the right people to help them build their companies.
No,
so
that's cool.
I know a little bit about him.
You just said that better than I would have. So
well, Pete the Job Guy is your sponsor, not Ascendo, but he runs Ascendo. He's the man. He's the CEO of. I know he runs the Jacksonville location, and I think maybe even there's a couple of other locations, Georgia and South Florida.
Complete sidebar. Does that not look like Chewy Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah, it looks like him a little bit if he was like cutting weight and fighting and getting all tatted up.
Yeah.
The guy over your right shoulder.
Over your right shoulder.
That guy.
That's in the tank.
Yeah,
no, you're
right.
Yeah.
Your other right. Yeah.
He kind of looks. He kind of looks like Chewy.
That's one of the kids that was in the locker room. We were both 35ers, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Pete the Job Guy. Very thankful for him.
Any other sponsors? Anyone
else? Face Off Fight Co. They actually have this hoodie right here. They just came out with new crew necks. They're a company that comes out with like custom rash guards and grappling shorts. They just came out with hats as well. The brand new drop they had is unreal. It's like white gear with like graffiti saying like Face Off Fight Co. It's kind of like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air inspired.
Okay,
really
nice.
Cool stuff.
They got a promo code?
I do. If you use Valdina at checkout, you get $5 off your order.
There you go.
There you go. See, Miguel, you're learning, bro.
You guys know what you're doing over there.
Yeah, man.
U.S. Golden Pond. That's my oldest sister's company that she runs with her boyfriend, and that's in Manchester, New Hampshire. They give the best deals around. I highly suggest anybody in the area goes to them. And finally, we have Present Arms, another brand new sponsor. I got this actually like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that kid Tony Jacobs that actually asked a question, he was doing a little bit of like networking for me, and he hooked me up with this guy. And Present Arms is all about custom gun stocks. They make custom gun stocks for you if you're into that. So
okay,
that's pretty cool.
Like I said, man, you're the only person we've had on ever that has more sponsors than us.
Yeah. Also, Present Arms.
I'm very gracious for it all. Though,
that's great. Listen, it's great when you can get the help, man, and it's great that you shout again. I saw you shouting them out on do my little research and hear you on some podcasts and stuff. So it's good that not everybody does it. They get sponsors and then they forget. Hey, listen, you got to shout them out. You got It's what helps you, get the job done.
Symbiotic relationship.
So again, listen, man, thank you very much for doing this. Don't hang up. We're going to take those pictures, but we appreciate it. We'll put this out probably by the middle of next week. And again, you're on our throwback episode, so congratulations.
TBT, man.
All right, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you guys so much.
Take care, man.
All right.
Thank you to Neutral Zone CBD, a combat family-owned company that supports athletes and the people who love them. Neutral Zone strives to deliver clean CBD products for sports recovery in gummies, lotions, balms, roll-ons, and more. After a competition, a hard rolling session, or a tough day on the job, Neutral Zone has a product designed to help you reduce inflammation, increase cell rejuvenation, and may even help with aging joints. Visit NeutralZoneCBD.com and get 25% off your order with code JJD. And follow them on Instagram too, @MyNeutralZone. Jiu-Jitsu's favorite monthly subscription box has now joined the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast. The BJJ box is delivered to your door filled with premium jiu-jitsu and grappling apparel, equipment, supplements, supplies, snacks, and more. The crew at the BJJ box find the best in the world of jiu-jitsu and guarantee every box to be worth more than the cost. Each box includes 4 to 7 items you're going to love. Visit thebjjbox.com and use code JJD10 to get $10 off your very first box. And give them a follow on Instagram @TheBJJBox. Special thank you to the crew over at Flow and Roll for all their support. Flow and Roll is renowned for their incredible no-gi rash guards, shorts, and leggings. Flow and Roll has quickly become the premier custom apparel provider for academies big and small throughout the United States. Reach out today to discuss your custom order and ask about their incredible pre-order program. You can send an email to flowandroll@gmail.com or visit their Instagram @flow_n_roll and shoot them a direct message. And yes, they can create an awesome custom gi for your academy as well. Visit flowandroll.com to check out their awesome designs, and while you're there, pick up a Jiu-Jitsu Dummy signature tee exclusively at flowandroll.com. And remember, you'll get 20% off your purchase of t-shirts, rash guards, or gis with code JJD.
All right, man. Very cool.
That was dope.
Oh, my God. Where'd he go?
Hey.
We got rid of the TV.
Just clean things up a little bit.
Yeah, clean things up. Go back to the design. We think we figured it out. Bo thinks we might have it figured out, and we'll have our equipment fixed.
Maybe.
For the next episode.
I think I have a solution at least.
Yeah.
So...
I never make announcement, like I never say who the next guest is going to be, just in case.
I got really fucking frazzled. So through the whole entire episode, I was kind of like sweating.
I was watching you like it looked like you were like searching for shit on the internet because you didn't have to pay attention to the recorder. You didn't have to switch.
It was one
shot.
I was on the internet. I was fucking with the unit.
So let's get back to the positive stuff. I usually don't tease like the next guest is going to be, but I really want to have things worked out because next week we have Yoshi back, and we have him coming on with Kurt Osiander. They'll be together.
Same place.
And it's cool because, Kurt isn't like the most technically savvy guy.
Yeah.
So Yoshi's like, I'll go to him. Don't worry. I'm going to get everything set. Yeah. So we're going to have kind of like,
what's
the
saying?
The move of the week and the move of the day guys together. Yeah. And they, he was his coach.
I was going to say, it's like with the technology, it's like Yoshi's become, the grasshopper is no longer the grasshopper.
The student has become the teacher.
Yeah, the grasshopper has been,
yeah, man. So I'm super excited about that one. He reached out. He talked to us about doing it. I'm honored that he asked us, and I think it might. I don't know that they've done it before, so this will be the first time they're doing the podcast together. Yep. I haven't seen one. I'm sure he would have. I follow him. I'm sure he would have posted. So I'm super excited about that. So if we can get everything back to normal, I'd be happy. I won't be shitting my pants. Although I love that. I love this. Is what we did, man.
When technology takes a shit. It is often not much you can do.
Can I say though?
We did good.
Like I think I maintained like old me would have been like motherfucker shit, man. And I'm just like, all right, we fix it.
That's what was going on inside of me. I was on the outside. I seemed very calm. On the inside, it was like a total bad trip.
Nah, I'm like, fuck it, we'll figure it out.
Pun intended.
We used to have Bo sitting on the top of a conference table with that camera and a tripod going like this.
Yeah. The old days.
I think we could figure out, how to do it.
We might be going back to that. That might be the new format.
But it might not. It's not the worst thing in the world.
No,
It's kind of cool.
How about you just wear a body cam and just keep walking around?
A forehead cam.
Yeah.
So listen. Thank you to Andrew. Thank you to Pete Langlois and Angie from Pete the Job Guy from the Hard Worker podcast for putting us together.
Welcome.
Appreciate it. I'm excited to get this one out. I think it was a great interview. I love understanding the fighter. We're not just like, hey, let's talk about that one fight and that move. It's just never been who we are. I like to get to know the fighter. And then when they come on a second time, it's different. Now we kind of know them. Friend of the podcast, quote unquote, right? So I had a good time. I'm hoping that he remembers the little people when he's
where he came from,
when he's fighting for that title.
Okay.
Yeah.
real, recognize real.
All right. So thank you for watching, listening, everybody. I'm at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies on Instagram. I handle that account. If you're sending messages, I'm usually the guy that's answering. My personal IG is Uncle Milty BJJ.
I'm JJD_DJJ69.
At BADWERKS. Bad works.
Awesome. And we actually have. Well, I'll say it. We'll do it. We'll announce that another time. Thank you for watching and listening, everybody. Peace, love, jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Mysterious Milton strikes again.
I'm not even trying to tease anything. It was
Mysterious Milton.
All right, man.
Strikes again.